Hey everybody, how you doing? This is Barry, that Goat Metal Show. And of course, we're doing the after show of Auditory Assault with my man, The Box, Frank. All right. Basically, we had a great show today. We were just discussing, we had our gateways to metal and to the music that we enjoy listening to. We had a nice little list. We had some recommendations there. But what I wanted to discuss as far as that goes was, I wanted to talk to you about, like, what was your, you said you had a few, but what was one of the main influences that you had when you got into, the stuff that you got into as far as metal?
Well, the first thing was, like you mentioned, Columbia House, going old school.
Yes.
And those of you that had Columbia House, you remember that they used to send you, like their top picks or whatever, for free. And then if you like them, you keep them. And, you didn't necessarily know if you're going to like it or not. But one of those albums on top of, like, Mariah Carey and, Boys to Men and all this crap, back then. Now keep in mind too, like, my mother was strict, but she's not that strict, but was very strict about, like, what I listened to. Yeah. So the heaviest thing that I listened to was, like, Aerosmith, basically. Okay. And I would get away with soundtracks from movies to get my fix. So Columbia House sent Use Your Illusion 1.
Oh, okay.
So the first thing I remember is looking on that and seeing Parental Advisory. Oh, what's that?
Anything with Parental Advisory has to be good. It has to be good.
And with songs like Right Next Door to Hell, Don't Damn Me, and Back Off Bitch, being, the age that I was, back then I was young, and I'm like, oh, cool, they're cursing. Oh, there's motherfucker there, and there's shit here, and,
You get to repeat it. Right. Yeah. Without your mother hearing.
Plus, I just got to see Wayne's World.
And, man.
And Alice Cooper was in that, so of course I had the soundtrack. Mm-hmm. And I noticed there were pictures of Alice Cooper in that album. Yeah. And of course he did, the guest spot on The Garden. Okay. And, watching MTV and everything else. Oh, he's cool with, like, Shannon Hoon from Blind Melon. So granted, Blind Melon was Blind Melon, but if you go into the alternative stuff back then, Blind Melon was somewhere lead you to Alice in Chains and finding out about that whole, like the good grunge, not the grunge that killed,
the basic. I mean, if anything, but during that beginning time, the grunge, it was what? It was like Nirvana, Soundgarden, Alice in Chains,
Pearl Jam.
I mean, Nirvana, I tolerated. I mean, I thought that when they first, it was catchy. Mm-hmm. Alice in Chains, to me, I never considered them a grunge band. I always considered them to be more of just a heavy rock / metal band. Like, they had more of that Black Sabbath style to them. Yeah. And I think that, I didn't really associate them with grunge. And I'm sure a lot of people who do like Alice in Chains feel the same way, because, I mean, look, they just have a whole element of their music that just, you listen to it, it gives you that whole nostalgia of that time in the 70s of when you used to like rock, rock and metal and stuff. So I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah. But
and plus, like, going back to those soundtracks, Megadeth was all over every movie back back in the day.
Yeah, they were pretty much the soundtrack kings, man, as far as thrash goes.
Yeah, so that they were another. The Bill and Ted soundtrack was huge with me, so because it had all the '80s metal that I listened to, like Slaughter. Winger. Yes, I like Winger. I don't care. I will fight tooth and nail. All right. The same way that anybody who knows me knows I'll fight about load and everything else. Please.
Remember, no. He was the one who picked load. I'm just saying.
What? I don't care. So, but finding out about Kiss and AC/DC, just anybody that was on a soundtrack somewhere in the 90s. Yeah. Like a couple weeks ago, I played the Demon Knight soundtrack.
Yeah, that was really cool.
That really was, I think, the main gateway into metal.
Yeah, it's funny because when I mentioned to you about that Aces High, Iron Maiden was pretty much one of my first bands. Initially, before that, we were talking about soundtracks, and I think my initial gateway really was the Lost Boys soundtrack.
Yes.
Okay, and that was and if anybody who's listened to the Lost Boy or saw the Lost Boy movie and the soundtrack, it is a fantastic soundtrack, no matter what. And back then in the it came out in 86. I believe the movie came out in 86. So at that time I was about 12, 13 years old, and
4.
Yeah. Okay.
4 years old.
Okay, we don't need to hear all that. All right, we don't need to hear that. Okay, we don't need to hear this youngin telling me about his age. All right, I was 12, he was 4. Anyway, but
I didn't discover the movie until like 90, 91, something like that.
And watching that movie left and right, and the soundtrack, it resonated with me. But again, I didn't really go to experience metal until Iron Maiden. It was a poster, Stranger in a Strange Land, put it up. A friend of mine came and said, "Hey, that's a band." I was like, "Ooh, really?" Went across the street to meet my friend Georgie, and the rest is history. And pretty much what you guys heard from my list was pretty much, it wasn't in that sequential order, but it was pretty much the stuff that he was throwing at me every time that I went. He gave me, Maiden, and he gave me Carnivore. Then it was Sick of It All. Then it was Obituate. It was just Manowar. It just kept on going with different. It wasn't like one particular genre. It just gave me bands. And honestly, I would say for anybody who's going to get into metal, I think that's what you should do to them. Just throw an abundance of different types of bands at them and let them figure it out for themselves.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's good to see that there's a lot of bands that are going back to the old ways, which, look, I know we sound like a bunch of old fogies saying it, but come on, you just can't, you cannot go and just say that when you compare the stuff that they were trying to do in the last 5 to 10 years compared to what they did in the 80s and in the early 90s, you can't compare the two. You just can't.
No.
So, again.
Maybe if we were younger, then yeah. No, kind of see it, but
what's amazing is that when you go and I give Guitar Hero that the game a lot of credit, because Guitar Hero opened the gateway to a lot of people to listen to old stuff, to a lot of those kids, because those were my kids. My kids were playing Guitar Hero. I mean, they were listening to some of the music I was into, but they got into more of the older stuff. They were, Jimi Hendrix and Black Sabbath and so on. So they got more into a lot of the older stuff, and they appreciated that style of music even more. But of course, you got some of them, newbies that just, basically dissect everything and turned it into shit. But that's for a different show. Yeah.
it definitely beats going into Hot Topic or something.
Oh my God! Please,
looking for new music.
And it's funny because I think we spoke about this. The Hot Topic used to be a place to go to at one point. I used to actually go over there and see. I used to go into Hot Topic, and they used to have a section for underground bands, new bands, and people used to go and bring their stuff there to sell. It was like the place to drop your stuff off.
They had a black binder. Right above the CDs, and all the local bands used to put their flyers in there.
You go. It was, man. I remember some years back when I had Facebook. I had a Facebook account, and I went on one of the Hot Topic pages, and the CEO happened to be on.
I remember that.
You remember that?
And you fucking blasted him.
I did. It was like, and he just kept going, and he just felt like he had to come at me,
and everybody else had your back. They're like, you know what? I never noticed that. Yeah, and you're right. And then it's like, you would see guest. It's like,
his thing, his excuse was that he said that nobody was listening to, because I forgot what band I threw in the mix. I think I threw Venom or whatever.
They weren't. Oh shit! What was the word?
They weren't relevant.
They weren't relevant.
Yeah, he said they weren't relevant anymore, and nobody's listening to them no more. So why should we sell it? And I said, but you see, what you're doing is you're getting rid of us, the people who used to go to your shop and frequent it the most. So you basically threw us to the side so you could put Hello Kitty everywhere. But
exactly.
Discrimination. It is. Very much discrimination.
Metalhead discrimination.
And all right. Also, in other news, I was telling Frank earlier that I found out some news that George Corpse Grinder is doing a solo band. Okay, and I didn't get a chance to read up on it. It was just a headline. I showed him the headline. We just started speculating. We're unsure of like.
Didn't even read the article.
Yeah. We didn't read it. We just saw the headline, And we were just wondering, like, maybe if anybody might know what is his plans. Is he gonna just stick to death metal? Is he planning a pop band? I don't know. We don't know what some of these guys want to do in this. And whatever they want to do on the side, by all means. Right. I say, that was my gripe with like Whitechapel. I don't know if I think I mentioned it to you. I have an issue. I had a big issue with that. Look, I heard the new Whitechapel. I think they have that song called Orphan. Mm-hmm. Okay. Outside of everything, if I'm not a fan, it's a great song. Nice song, very nice, well written. Music is good. Okay, I'm open to everything. But as a Whitechapel fan, I can't stand it. Mm-hmm. I can't sit there and say that's Whitechapel. My thing is, and I think somebody came up to me on one of the comments when I threw something out there about it. They said, "Oh, but you got to understand that people grow, their music, their taste change." I get it. But if that's something you're not into no more, then maybe you shouldn't call the band Whitechapel no more.
Yeah.
Or maybe you should just say, you know what? Look, you guys want to still do Whitechapel the way it was? Get yourself another singer. This is what I want to do now. Or if that's what you're into, make it a side band. Mm-hmm. That was my thing. I said, look, I don't have an issue with the fact that he wants to be a little bit more open with his vocals and sing. And, I think it's cool. I have no problem with that. I just have an issue with the fact that you just go and decide that in the middle of a Whitechapel album where it's supposed to be brutal shit, you decide you want to start singing and no, that's not what I remember Whitechapel. No, it would kill people if you would went to go see Slayer or heard Slayer, and as much as Slayer did their shit and they always stood true to whatever they did, mm-hmm. they decided they wanted to do a fucking ballad. It just wouldn't fly.
See what I think, and I think this should be for debate in the comments as well.
Please do.
Okay, because I have a theory about this.
What's the theory?
Now, when we were growing up, we had B-side of whatever Japanese import or whatever mm-hmm. that we would have to hunt down.
Yes.
To hear a new song that they had written, that a certain band had written. Yeah. Now, in this day and age, there's no more of this stuff because you could find everything on Spotify or YouTube, and everybody releases everything basically all at once. Yeah. And they flood the market. Whatever you want to listen to, it's there.
Yeah.
But to me, that defeats the purpose of listening to an album from beginning to end because you have those spotty things. So if they did want to try something different, it's going to screw up the whole album experience. So instead of releasing something,
you could do it on the side. Yeah,
or a demo, or like a strict, just for YouTube thing, or even just release a, like a demo album.
Yeah,
I don't exactly know how record contracts and stuff work nowadays, anymore.
Is there any more record contracts?
Who the fuck knows?
It's like pretty much everybody can do their own thing now.
Whereas like I remember, Typo, but before Peter Steele died, they still had all these, they had stuff they had to fulfill, so they had the best of, everybody would do, before our contract runs out, let's do a best of, let's do a live album, let's throw out a VHS or a DVD, and that'll compensate for everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that'll buy us some time.
Or covers. They would do covers too, yeah.
So this doesn't happen anymore, at least not with many bands, mm-hmm. But going back to the George Fisher thing, he has been doing guest spots on other people's albums that have been pretty different from Corpse. So like he's been on Dee Snider's new album.
Yes, and it's pretty good. It's really good. It's really good.
He was on the new Ice Nine Kills album. Mm-hmm. So again, like to me, that's night and day. Too, because my son, he's 8 now, and he just got me into Ice Nine Kills. We're hearing them on the radio.
Wow,
they're kind of new school, little emo, whatever. But I like them because they have the whole horror aspect, and they can get heavy, but they can still be a little whiny. But they have that song with George Fisher on it, and it's sick.
Yeah.
So to me, that's night and day. So yeah, that album can go either way, but again, not everybody does that stuff. So like if Whitechapel, to me, if he wanted to go off and start singing and doing like all this weird, stuff that isn't quite Whitechapel, he could either go that route, or just take a whole side project thing.
Yeah, I think there's,
or release it as a B-side. And they don't have an outlet.
Like
for
I said,
that anymore,
I understand the whole concept of bands growing. I get it. But then the thing is that you alienate the fans who started with you.
Yep.
And that was something that, like, of course, we discussed Metallica, but it's just, I bring that up because I was one of those old school fans who felt alienated when, look, you enjoyed it, I didn't. But again, I have my reasons as a fan.
Right.
But you were a new fan, so it's understood.
But they went all out. So it's very similar to the Black Album where people are like, but it's still kind of heavy, but and then Nothing Else Matters came on. And it's like, what is this? Yeah. It's not a Fade to Black. It's not a Sanitarium. It's Nothing Else Matters. What the fuck is this?
Yeah, exactly.
And then you buy the Japanese import or the single, and then you have the acoustic version.
Yeah,
with the orchestra and everything else, and then or you have you buy S&M where you see them with the orchestra and they totally fuck up everything. You know what I mean? But again, I will not defend Saint Anger in any way, shape, or form.
Nobody defends that album. Nobody. No drummer in their right mind will defend that album.
No musician, no producer, no nothing.
When Lars Ulrich's father said it was trash in the very beginning before it was produced, it said a lot. It said a lot. Oh man! All right. Just before we close this out, you want to just talk about what we're gonna have for next week?
All right, next week, the Black Friday special.
Okay.
So I figured we get a little evil.
Very evil.
I did have some other ideas for the show that were shot down in a blaze of glory.
Oh, really?
I won't even get into that. But and then I thought maybe we can do songs that have the word black in it. And I'm like, that's a little cliche, stupid. So I just figured, whatever. And then I was like, maybe bands that have the word black in it, but then that's, show's only 2 hours.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even get through, so
I guess just keeping it evil.
So we're going to stick with an evil black metal
evil
theme.
Yeah, whatever's evil. I mean, if it's evil, it's good.
That's it.
If it's evil, it's good. Mm-hmm. All right, yeah, well, that sounds cool. I guess I'll get my list going eventually. Yes. I already have a few songs already in the top of my head.
Gotcha.
All right, guys. Well, look, that's it for now. I want to thank everybody who was on this, on the stream and listening to us. If you guys have any suggestions, please feel free to leave it in the comments or let them know on Facebook. All right.
The other thing too that I mentioned on tonight's show, and being that we're talking about all different types of music and everything, and we. Hopefully we get the comments going and get you guys, your brains moving. Any bands, any local bands?
Yes.
We need local bands.
All right. Yeah, definitely.
Bands, demos, singles, old or new. I don't care if they're from 1985 that you got to load it up an MP3 on your computer.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
If it's good, send it. We'll listen to it. We'll check it out. And
if your band made one demo, played 5 shows, but you feel it's good enough that it could throw it at us.
Exactly.
Throw it at us. Why not?
There's definitely a few that Barry had mentioned in a previous Goat show. A couple of bands I'm definitely going to be putting on.
Yeah.
On there, including some bangers from our old mans and stuff like that too. But get it to us. It's going to be, the email address is box@metalmessiahradio.com. So the link will be down there as well. The Facebook, all that fun stuff. Any way you can get it to us. Or even, I don't know if you can still send messages through
YouTube. Yes, you can. YouTube. Yes, you can send it through the comments. Or, like I said, I'll make sure to put all the links up, if anything. I also have my Facebook there that you could just go and send me a message, if anything.
Cool.
All right.
Very cool.
All right, guys. So, look, that's pretty much it for now. You guys enjoy your holiday, and we'll see you guys next Friday. All right? All right, from all of us here, this is Barry. This is Frank. That Goat Metal Show.
That's it.
Stay brutal.
Go Reds.